How to Write a Short Story Collection continued. So in episode 244 of the Spun Today Podcast, the previous episode before this one, I wanted to put together a comprehensive how to take an idea all the way through to fruition of becoming an actual book for sale. So I told you guys about where I've gotten certain ideas from, where they came from in a specific collection of short stories that I recently published called Melted Cold. Available now at spuntoday.com/books/melted cold. All the links where you can purchase, you can find there, or just search for it on Amazon. So I told you guys where the ideas for each story came from, then broke down how I physically begin writing, pen to paper, free writing style to work out the idea. And then once I have a good direction of where the story is going, once it feels right, I move over to writing on the computer on a writing program called Scrivener. And I take deep dives into each of these sections, if you will, during episode 244. So if you didn't hear that, go back and listen to that because it would be helpful. Then I broke down how I self-edit using a program called Pro Writing Aid, and other similar programs that exist are out there, but the one I use is Pro Writing Aid. I also formulated my own story structure spread to help make sure that I have certain key story beats and elements within my story, an inciting incident, a climax and resolution that tie into that inciting incident, etc. I also shared in that episode 244 how I used a professional editor for the first time. I broke down my approach for cover design, going through a digital design service called 99 Designs, or a graphic design service rather. I shared my ideas for promotion after the book is published and for sale by leveraging tools ChatGPT for writing sales promo, sales copy, using Facebook and Instagram ads, Amazon ads, Spike ads via a company called Written Word Media, which has free Booksy promotions and bargain Booksy promotions, etc. And I broke all that stuff down, but I skipped there towards the end a couple key things that, again, I thought of in retrospect that I wanted to add in. So after you write your story, after you have it edited, after you have your cover design ready, how do you get your book, or let me take a step back. You need to get your book in the correct format, also called like interior design by some, but the correct format for the different versions that your book will be available in, whether it's an ebook, whether it's a paperback, or whether it's a hardcover, or all of the above. Because you have that flexibility, you have that option, those options when you self-publish, which I personally love. Options are a beautiful thing, to quote the illustrious poet Jadakiss. So in the past, for my first two books, I used the same writing software that I use, Scrivener, to format my books, which Scrivener definitely can do. Now, it is a tedious process, and you kind of think like, what's so hard about it? You have everything written already. Just, change the size or the margins or something like that, and export or, save as a PDF or something like that. But it's definitely not that straightforward. And there's a lot of little aspects of formatting that you don't pay mind to unless you are actually doing it within a book, like the style of how the chapter headings are, or where you add the numbers of each page. Are you going to have them on the top? Are you going to have them on the bottom? Are you going to have them centered in the bottom? If you have the numbers on the bottom and or on the top, are you also going to have the author name on the right-hand side of the page next to the page number, or on the left-hand side? Are you going to have the title of the book on the left-hand side or on the right-hand side? Are you going to have the title of the book on the left-hand side and the chapter or what have you on the right-hand side? You have to factor in your line spacing. You have to factor in your font style and if it fits with the genre of story that you're writing. You have to add, page breaks or dingus marks where, I love that word, dingus, dingus marks where appropriate. and have them stylized in a certain way. Do you want just the 3 asterisk standard, or do you want to add a little flair to it and have a little squiggly line or a little design or something? So on and so forth. For your ebooks, you have to have a table of contents formulated. For print books, you have to make sure that your story begins on the right-hand side of the page. So you have to have a blank page where appropriate. Same thing, blank page is necessary so that your dedication page could be on the right-hand side. So your quote, if you have one, can be on the right-hand side. Your acknowledgements, you want them to start on the right-hand side. Then the sizing of your paperback, because there are different size options available. The color of the pages, whether cream or white. The gloss of the cover, whether glossy or matte. So there's a lot of these little design elements that you have to consider and factor in. And again, Scrivener, which I use for my first 2 books, definitely has those options available, but they're not as very user-friendly. So I took hours and hours and days even when trying to learn how to use the formatting within Scrivener. And if you've tried it in the past, although again, it's helpful, it's there, I used it, it is frustrating and it's not user-friendly. And I would export, I would go through all the motions and update everything I think I needed to update for my export, and then export it, and then I would look at the export and the proof of it, and something would be off, and then I would have to go back and redo the 18 steps it took just to change that one thing that didn't come out right. Then I would change that and something else would break, and it's just a back and forth clunky kind of design in terms of its formatting. Now again, that's to say nothing about its capabilities within writing itself. It's beyond impressive and amazing when it comes to a writing program in and of itself. So the fact that it has the formatting functionality is a plus. It's like a nice to have, but it's definitely not a selling point in my opinion for the program itself. So for this book, I opted to use a service called Vellum. Vellum is a formatting first program that you can also write in, but it's the reverse of Scrivener. Its writing functionality is there, but isn't, impressive by any stretch. But its formatting functionality is amazing. Now, it is a little pricey, where Scrivener, for example, the cost of Scrivener is $60. And then if you want to add the functionality where you can use it on your phone as well and it syncs up with your computer, which again, I spoke about in episode 244 and I thought was definitely very helpful and useful to me. It's an extra $25, $23. And you pay that, and I think it lasts years. I've had to pay that just twice ever since I've been writing. And that's just when if you buy Scrivener 3.0, for example, they come out with the new version, like 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, etc. And you get all of those for free. But once they move to a new version, like a 4.0, then you would have to buy that version or just continue using your old version. So I think originally I had like the 2.0 and then I wound up purchasing the 3.0. But again, $60 and you have the writing program on steroids and the added plus of a frustrating formatter. Now on the flip side, Vellum is pricey. It's $250. However, it is a one-time full access forever purchase. So if you are planning on, giving writing a go, I would say start, and by writing, I mean writing for publishing and public consumption, and you want to put books out there and stuff, I would say start low, start with something like Scrivener, if at all, because honestly, you can do it with like Microsoft Word. It's just, again, with these tools, the functionality and the options that you have make it easier, so you can have less of those frustrating periods of having to learn how to format things, and it just makes your writing process, your formatting process, your publishing process more efficient, these tools. So I would say definitely start with something like Scrivener. And once you, in my opinion, graduate up to all right, I've put out a couple books. I'm going to continue doing this. Let me invest in that. I would definitely recommend using Vellum. I used it for the first time with this book, my third, and it was so seamless. I thought formatting, I was dreading, honestly, having to go through it to format all the different formats, the ebook, the paperback, and the hardcover. And I had heard of Vellum via Joanna Penn. Shout out to Joanna Penn. And I was like, fuck, let me check it out. Let me see if it'll actually help with the formatting. The price definitely gave me pause. But again, it's something I plan to reuse for always, right? For as long as I'm doing this, which I don't see myself stopping writing. So I invested in it and am happy to say I was able to, again, go from dreading formatting because I thought it was going to take days and days and hours to relearn what I did with the last book and what worked, what didn't, and look up my notes that I wrote to myself on how not to fuck it up so much, so on and so forth. So I went from that to using Vellum, and in like an hour or less, I think I had every single thing completely formatted instantly. It's so user-friendly. I pretty much export my story, or I had my story rather already in Microsoft Word format, my final draft from my editor, and I upload that into Vellum. And then there in Vellum, you have the side-by-side. You see on the left your different options, and on the right, you see a preview of how it looks. So if I'm formatting my ebook, I have, my manuscript on the left-hand side, and then on the right-hand side, I see a little mock of a Kindle or something like that. Or if I want to see a Kindle Fire or a Kindle White or an Apple iPad I could toggle through, or an iPhone, so on and so forth. You can toggle through the different views, and you'll see that on the right-hand side. So it's a split pane. And on the left, you have very easy, straightforward, clean functionality. You click on the chapter or story title, you label it as the story title, you label the acknowledgement section. It knows what to do with everything. It gives you formatting capabilities if you want to change fonts. It has preloaded styles, so you can say apply X, Y, and Z style to the entire book. You play around with the numbering of pages options and stuff like that. Then at the end, you select what you want to export for. So you pretty much check off all the boxes, ebook, paperback, what size paperback, it's 8x5, 8.5 by 5.5, so on and so forth. Hardcover option, and it completely, then you just click export, and it completely exports everything into a folder on your desktop or wherever you point it to, and you have your finalized files there and ready to go. It's so simple, so straightforward. I definitely recommend, if you, again, are willing to put in that investment into your writing, or when you're willing to put in that investment into your writing, such a huge time saver, and more importantly, frustration saver, that it's very much so worth it. And for down the line time, I know it's great for creating box sets. So when you have a series of books, like for example, FRACTAL, my time travel novel, is book one of a projected 3-book series, I'll be able to create box sets for sales very easily just by dragging and dropping each book into Vellum, and then it'll create that box set for me so I can put it out for sale. So that was definitely a big piece, the formatting, which I left out from episode 244. So you have your story, you wrote it, you got it edited, you got it formatted, you have your cover ready to go. So what is next? Next, which I also kind of left out, was putting your books out for sale. Now, how do you do that? And what should your approach be? Where do you put it for sale? So before, Amazon was the only game in town for self-publishing, at this level. Now with the success of self-publishing through Amazon, other companies have followed suit, and you can put your books for sale through Apple, Barnes & Noble, companies like Ingram Spark, so on and so forth. A great place to start, and I could be biased because it's where I started, but it's also where, it's the biggest game in town, again, Amazon. I definitely recommend going through them initially. And they have certain free promotion tools which you can use, which I'll get into in a bit. But you literally essentially go to a site called kdp.amazon.com. KDP stands for Kindle Direct Publishing. So kdp.amazon.com. And I break this down in that free PDF, by the way, that I have available on my site that I mentioned during the last episode at .com/other, I believe. You go on that site and it'll walk you through everything. You're going to, type in certain metadata things like the name of the book, the subtitle, the name of the author, the name of your publishing company if you have one. Shout out to Spun Today Publishing. Your story description, your book categories. Think of that as the section in a bookstore where your book would sit. So is it a fiction? Is it a nonfiction? Is it general fiction? Is it urban fiction? Is it sci-fi? Is it fantasy? So on and so forth. And then you upload those exports that you got from Vellum, those formatted versions of your book that you exported from Vellum or from Scrivener or from whatever formatting tool you used. You upload that into the website, and then you upload a JPEG of your book cover, if it's the ebook, or the PDF of your cover design, which includes the front cover, the spine, and the back cover, and you submit it. And then I think it takes like 24 to 48 hours or something like that for Amazon to review, make sure there's no issues with your work. Essentially that you're uploading what you're saying you're uploading. And it shows you the rendering right there in real time. When you upload it, it shows you a proof of a paperback version of your book. And you can scroll through it to see how it's going to look when it's printed. It gives you the option to order author copies or proof copies so they can print one, ship it to you, which I definitely recommend. And essentially once it's for sale, once it's live, you get an email and say, congratulations, your book is available on Amazon. They send you a link, click on it, and then it's pretty cool to see your book up there for sale. Now, there are different approaches in terms of what you decide to do in terms of staying exclusive with Amazon, which essentially means your book is only available on Amazon. Your ebook is only available on Amazon. And the benefit of that is that, one, it is the largest bookseller already. It provides you with promo options such as, for 5 days a month, I believe it is, or for 5 days a quarter, you can put your book out to sell for free, the ebook, and that'll entice folks to, just download it for free, read it, learn more about you as a writer, put you on to more people, hopefully get some reviews on your book. Folks, if they didn't pay for it, some may feel more inclined to at least review your book. And the more people that read it, it's a numbers game. The more people that read it, the more exposure you get, the more chances for reviews you get, so on and so forth. Then when it's no longer free, the idea is that, this book that's highly reviewed has a bunch of positive reviews, let me purchase it, down the line. So that's definitely a plus. It's also, by staying exclusive with Amazon, you are part of their Kindle Select program, which I personally don't have, but I know it's a big thing within the reading community, where folks essentially pay a subscription to download every ebook that Amazon has within, Kindle Unlimited, to download it and read it for free. So you have exposure to all those people that's what they want. They just want to download free books and read them. That's what they pay their service fee for. Now, what that means is that you can't put the ebook for sale anywhere else. You can't put it on Apple, you can't put it on Barnes & Noble, Ingram Spark, so on and so forth. So it's kind of a catch-22. Now, for my first two books, I started exclusive with Amazon, and then I went wide, as they call it. So the first two books are available everywhere. This new book is just exclusive with Amazon. Again, for now, I think long-term, I'll probably go wide with it as well. But I just really want to target and hone in on the marketing aspects for this book and those tools that I mentioned, those free promo tools that, you align with your Spike book promotions and Amazon ads and stuff like that are really helpful in terms of reach and getting eyeballs on the actual book. So there's definitely that. And as always, I'll continue to, keep you guys posted on what I decide to do down the line, how things are progressing, what worked, what didn't work in terms of promotion. So hopefully if you are in the same space or interested in it for whatever reason, you can gain something from it. Something else that I did for this book that I didn't do with the first two is purchase my own ISBNs. ISBNs, think of them as social security numbers for books. They are the unique identifier for books that are for sale. And it's not necessary to do. Again, I didn't do it for my first two books. Amazon and Barnes & Noble and Apple and all these places offer you a free ISBN. If you publish through their site, they'll assign their own ISBN. The catch with that is that your books will say, published by Amazon or Barnes & Noble or so on and so forth, which again is not a big deal, but and it doesn't change ownership of the book or anything like that. But if you do want to own your own ISBN to tie it in with your own publishing company, for example, then you can definitely do so by going to Bowker, BOWKER.com. And you can purchase one ISBN, you can purchase a bundle of ISBNs, whether it's a group of 10 or 100, and they have different bundles. I brought a group of 10, which was also a bit pricey, $295, but it's ISBNs that you own for life, attach them to your books, and they're the unique identifier of the actual book. Now, interesting thing about ISBNs, each format of the book, which I think is, I don't like it, but I get it, but I also don't like it. Each format of the book requires its own ISBN. So the same exact book, if it's an ebook, it needs its own ISBN. If it's a paperback, it needs its own ISBN. If it's in a hardcover, it needs its own ISBN. If it's an audiobook, it needs its own ISBN. Then when you do go wide, for example, I have right now 3 different formats published on Amazon, right? So 3 different ISBNs for my ebook, paperback, and hardcover. When I go wide with this book to Barnes & Noble, Apple, or Kobo, etc., I'm also going to I can't carry over those same ISBNs on those platforms, or at least I haven't figured out a way to do so. Because I did try to stay exclusive with Amazon as far as the ebook, but go wide with my paperback and hardcover, and which I thought was doable, and I believe it is. But then I have to take Barnes & Noble's assigned ISBN and Apple's, etc. Well, not Apple's just digital, but Kobo's, Ingram Sparks, etc. And I don't want to burn the other ISBNs that I purchased just to go wide with that book. So I'm still working that out. I'll let you guys know where I land on that, but yeah, that's something else that I did with this book that I didn't do in the past. And the last thing that I did with this book that I didn't do in the past was do the copyright registration, which again isn't required and necessary, but it's just an added layer of protection around your intellectual property. I first learned about it through Ada Rodriguez, the comic, which was giving advice to screenwriters and people trying to get into the industry, and saying, she's seen horror stories of how, folks pitch scripts and stuff like that, and they wind up getting denied and turned back, but then writers and producers that are already in Hollywood wind up just taking their shit, which I've definitely heard horror stories of in the past, but in different contexts, like within comedy and writers of TV shows going to comedy clubs and getting premises from comedians to write episodes of shows that they're writing on, for example. But I never thought it I guess I just never gave it much thought, but I didn't think it would be, as blatant as Ada mentioned. But nonetheless, her recommendation was to go to copyright.gov, which is the United States Copyright Office, and register your body of work. And you can do that for anything, any type of creative work. Whether it's a movie, a script, a book, photography, etc. And then my editor kind of said it in a matter-of-fact way, so it kind of reinforced the whole idea of getting the official copyright. And she just said it kind of in passing again, like in a matter-of-fact way. She was like, oh yeah, when you do the copyright, after that, blah, 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 blah. And we were talking about something else. And I asked her, I was like, oh, you mean the copyright.gov, or are you referring to some other type, copyright process that I should be aware of? And she was like, no, that's the one. That's what I'm talking about. So it kind of reinforced the idea. So I did that. It's a straightforward process. You go onto their website, again, copyright.gov. It's the United States Copyright Office, and similar process to, loading it on a site like Amazon for sale, for example. You write the book title, your publisher, your author name, description of the book, you upload a copy of the book and the cover, you pay a filing fee, which is $65. Then they process it. I think it takes something like a couple months, and you have the official copyright for your book of work. So yeah, those are some essential things that I left out, some optional, some not. I left out of episode 244. If I think of anything else, I'll definitely keep you guys updated. And again, as I go forth in this process, a big part of this podcast is just highlighting my quote unquote writing journey, both for me to be able to look back on one day and also for folks to gain some insight from that may be on the same path and are interested in this kind of stuff. I do have a free promotion running for Melted Cold, a collection of short stories for the ebook, which will be running from October 17th, 2023, Eminem's birthday, by the way, the GOAT, through October 20th, 2023. So if you're interested in downloading and checking out the book absolutely for free, check out the links in the episode notes, or go to, again, spuntoday.com/books/melted cold, or just search for it on Amazon. Again, October 17th through October 20th, 2023. My short story collection, Melted Cold, will be available absolutely for free. The price of $0. Definitely check it out, and I will keep you all posted on how all that goes.